When we speak of beauty, we often imagine it as something fixed in the physical realm, the shape of the face, the texture of the skin, the way light catches the eyes. Yet from the perspective of the psyche, beauty is far more than appearance. It is an expression of the inner life made visible. Colors, in this sense, are not simply decorative choices. They are living symbols, carriers of archetypal energy that speak directly to both the conscious mind and the unconscious soul. For women over 45, this truth becomes especially potent. At this stage of life, the self has passed through many seasons: youth, ambition, relationship, motherhood, independence, and the outer image begins to reflect the depth of inner transformation. Certain colors, when chosen with intuitive wisdom, do more than flatter the skin or brighten the eyes. They awaken something within. They call forth vitality, confidence, and the radiance that is not given by age but by alignment between the inner and outer self. These colors are not mere pigments, they are psychic keys that unlock the glow already present within, allowing it to flow outward in a way the world can see and feel. The psychological impact of color on self-perception and confidence is far deeper than most people imagine, and from a Jungian perspective, it is tied directly to the way symbols and archetypes operate in the unconscious. Color is not just a sensory phenomenon. It is an emotional language that bypasses rational analysis and speaks directly to the psyche. It is experienced both physiologically, through the way light wavelengths affect the body and mind, and symbolically, through the cultural and archetypal meanings we have collectively attached to each hue over centuries. For a woman over 45, color becomes more than a fashion or cosmetic choice. It is a tool for shaping the way she experiences herself and how others perceive her presence. At this stage of life, the relationship with the self often shifts. There may be a greater depth of self-knowledge, but also heightened awareness of societal narratives about aging, beauty, and relevance. Color, in this context, has the power to subtly reframe those narratives by visually affirming vitality, warmth, and individuality. When a woman chooses a color that resonates with her psychologically, it does something almost alchemical to her self-image. It activates an internal feedback loop. She feels uplifted by how she appears, which boosts her confidence, and that confidence changes the way she moves, speaks, and engages with others. This is not mere vanity, but an unconscious alignment between the external presentation and the internal sense of identity. In Jungian terms, it is a conscious use of the persona, the social face we present to the world, as a supportive and truthful expression of the self, rather than a mask that hides it. When the colors she wears align with her inner vitality, they do not conceal her age. Instead, they reframe it as a canvas for richness, depth, and charisma. The psychological effects of color are also tied to projection. Another core idea: when someone sees a woman in a certain color, they unconsciously project qualities associated with that color onto her. Bright, warm tones such as coral or gold are often linked with energy, joy, and optimism. Wearing them may cause others to respond to her as if she embodies those qualities, which can then reinforce her own sense of liveliness. Cooler shades like soft teal or periwinkle might project calmness, clarity, or sophistication, shifting both how she is perceived and how she perceives herself in that moment. This is a two-way exchange. Her internal state influences her choice of color, and the color influences her internal state. Beyond social projection, color also works through the deeper layers of the unconscious by tapping into archetypal associations. These are collective, inherited meanings that humanity has attached to colors over centuries. Red, for example, carries the archetype of passion and life force. It calls to mind the vitality of blood, the power of fire, the boldness of warriors. White carries connotations of purity, renewal, and spiritual clarity. Green evokes growth, healing, and nature's cyclical rebirth. When a woman intentionally selects a color that connects with an archetype she wishes to embody, she is engaging in a symbolic act that strengthens that quality in her psyche. This is particularly important for women over 45, as it allows them to consciously invoke energies of renewal, strength, or serenity that counterbalance societal messages of decline. The body's physiological responses to color also feed into self-perception. Research in color psychology has shown that warm tones can increase blood flow and create a healthy glow in the skin, while certain blues and greens can lower stress and promote feelings of balance. When a woman wears colors that complement her skin tone, they can make her look more radiant and awake, which in turn enhances her self. From a Jungian angle, this is the body and psyche working together. The physical effects of color feed the emotional sense of vitality. and that vitality reinforces a positive self-concept. Color can also serve as a reminder of personal milestones, memories, or self-definitions, creating a private psychological connection that bolsters confidence. A woman might feel especially empowered in a deep sapphire dress because it reminds her of a time she felt confident and accomplished. Another might choose a soft blush tone because it connects her to feelings of tenderness and warmth she values in herself. These associations are personal but still operate alongside collective meanings, blending the individual unconscious with the collective unconscious in a way that strengthens the link between inner and outer expression. In the realm of self-perception, color choices can become a form of individuation, Jung's term for the process of becoming the person you truly are, distinct from societal conditioning and unconscious influence. By experimenting with colors and noticing which ones make her feel most herself, a woman over 45 can refine her outward presentation to more accurately reflect her inner truth. This process might involve moving away from colors she wore in youth, because they symbolized qualities she no longer wishes to emphasize, and embracing new shades that better align with her present stage of life. The key here is conscious choice, rather than passive adherence to trends or outdated habits. It is also worth noting that certain colors can unconsciously diminish self-confidence if they carry personal or cultural associations with negativity. Harsh or overly muted tones might feel draining if they evoke feelings of invisibility or dullness. Wearing such colors can subtly reinforce internalized beliefs about aging as a loss of vibrancy. On the other hand, strategically introducing colors that feel alive and affirming can help challenge those beliefs. This is why understanding the psychological impact of color is not about rigid rules but about cultivating awareness of what each shade evokes, both in the wearer and in those who encounter her. The interplay between color and confidence also extends to the way color frames facial expressions. A harmonious shade near the face can draw attention to the eyes, soften lines, and highlight the natural warmth of the skin, creating a visual impression of health and vitality. This can be especially important in midlife and beyond, when changes in skin tone or texture might otherwise dominate self-perception. By choosing colors that illuminate rather than compete with our natural features, a woman can subtly shift the focus from signs of aging to signs of life. In social contexts, the psychological effect of color often becomes magnified. Wearing a color that aligns with her desired self-image in a setting where she wishes to make a strong impression, whether it be a professional meeting, a social gathering, or a family celebration, can create a sense of congruence between her inner state and outer appearance. This congruence is felt not only by her, but also by those around her, enhancing rapport, influence, and memorability. Such moments can have a cumulative effect on her overall confidence, reinforcing her belief in her ability to shape her presence and command positive attention at any stage of life. From a deeper symbolic perspective, the use of color in self-presentation after 45 can be seen as a reclamation of the self from societal invisibility. In many cultures, women are subtly encouraged to fade with age, adopting neutral tones and understated styles that draw less attention. Choosing vibrant or resonant colors can be an act of defiance against this narrative, a statement that life's second half is not about retreat but about renewed expression. In Jungian terms, it is an assertion of the self over the collective expectation. Using color as both symbol and tool for self-affirmation. When understood in this light, the psychological impact of color is far more than a matter of aesthetic preference. It becomes a conscious dialogue between the inner world and the outer world, between how a woman feels and how she chooses to be seen. The colors she wears are part of a living language that shapes her sense of identity, influences her emotional state, and communicates her vitality to those around her, creating a feedback loop that sustains and amplifies her confidence in ways that are both subtle and profound. Archetypal associations of colors that evoke youthfulness and vitality draw from the deep well of the collective unconscious, where colors are not merely visual experiences but living symbols imbued with layers of meaning that have been shaped over centuries. In Jungian psychology, archetypes are universal patterns and images that reside in the collective psyche, and colors often serve as their visual embodiment. This means that when a woman wears a certain color, she is not only making an aesthetic choice but also activating an entire symbolic field that resonates both within her and in the perceptions of those around her. For women over 45, understanding and consciously engaging with these archetypal associations allows them to select colors that project an energy of renewal, vitality, and timeless presence. Colors associated with youthfulness often carry archetypal connections to life force energies, natural cycles, and emotional vibrancy. For example, shades of fresh green connect to the archetype of the maiden or the archetype of spring, symbolizing growth, renewal, and the beginning of new life. These shades trigger unconscious associations with nature's cycles, where green appears as a signal of vitality after the dormancy of winter. When a woman over 45 incorporates such tones into her clothing or accessories, it subtly communicates a psychological message of ongoing renewal, regardless of chronological age. Similarly, coral and peach tones often evoke the archetype of the lover, radiating warmth, passion, and openness. These shades tend to be associated with youth not only because they brighten the skin and create a warm glow, but also because they resonate with emotional warmth and approachability on a symbolic level. Warm golds and soft yellows tap into the archetype of the sun, the eternal life-giver and source of light. In almost every culture, golden tones carry the meaning of vitality, joy, and abundance. They are perceived as energizing and life-affirming, awakening both the wearer and the observer to a sense of brightness and optimism. These hues, when worn near the face, can illuminate features in a way that mimics the life-enhancing effect of sunlight, which the unconscious links to health and youth. From a psychological standpoint, such colors can lift mood, enhance feelings of personal radiance, and draw others into the same emotional field. Vibrant blues, particularly those in the turquoise and aqua range, often connect to the archetype of the water-bearer or the healer. These colors evoke the freshness of clear skies and pristine waters, both of which carry connotations of clarity, openness, and emotional cleansing. For a woman over 45, wearing such shades can create an impression of calm vitality, suggesting both serenity and a youthful ability to adapt and flow with life's changes. The archetypal link to water also brings associations with emotional depth and intuitive wisdom, reminding others that youthfulness is as much about emotional openness as it is about physical appearance. Soft pinks, especially those with a warm undertone, are linked to the archetype of the nurturer and also to the essence of innocence and compassion. In the collective psyche, pink often symbolizes tenderness, love, and emotional receptivity. While overly bright pinks can sometimes feel overly playful or childlike, the right softness and tone can bring a gentle flush to the complexion and create a harmonious sense of approachability. In Jungian terms, such colors awaken the positive aspects of the anima, the feminine principle of beauty, care, and connection, in both the wearer and the observer. Another color with strong archetypal ties to vitality is red, particularly in its warmer, softer forms like ruby or warm berry. Red is historically linked to the archetype of the warrior and the life force, symbolizing courage, passion, and dynamic energy. While pure, intense red can sometimes feel overpowering, a well-chosen shade that harmonizes with the skin tone communicates a message of strength and presence, which is inherently youthful in its psychological impact. Red activates the senses, draws attention, and engages the viewer's unconscious with signals of vitality and confidence. Lavender and soft lilac tones connect to the archetype of the mystic or wise woman. While these colors are not traditionally associated with youth in a purely physical sense, they evoke a sense of inner vitality by signaling spiritual depth, creativity, and openness to transformation. This archetypal resonance allows them to project an image of timeless beauty, one that suggests that youth is not only a matter of fresh appearance, but also of a mind and spirit that continue to grow and explore. For women over 45, these shades can serve as a bridge between the vibrancy of youth and the wisdom of maturity, uniting both qualities in a single visual statement. The effectiveness of these archetypal associations lies in their ability to operate on both conscious and unconscious levels. Consciously, a woman might choose a color because she knows it brightens her complexion or complements her eyes. Unconsciously, that color is activating deeply embedded symbolic meanings that influence how she feels in it and how others respond to her. These responses are not random. They are shaped by millennia of human experience in which certain colors have come to represent particular life energies. By aligning her color choices with the archetypes she wishes to project, a woman can deliberately shape the psychological field she carries with her, allowing her presence to feel both youthful and fully authentic to her current stage of life. It is also important to recognize that archetypal color associations are not rigid rules, but living patterns that can be adapted to the individual. A color linked to vitality in the collective psyche might resonate differently for a woman depending on her personal history, cultural background, and emotional associations. For example, while gold might universally signal life and abundance, for one woman it might also carry memories of a cherished time in her life, amplifying its vitality in her personal symbolic system. In this way, the universal and the personal intertwine, making the impact of color even more potent. When these archetypal color choices are worn with awareness, they become more than flattering shades. They become tools for psychological renewal. They signal to the world, and to the self, that vitality is not bound by age, but is continually accessible through conscious alignment with the symbols and energies that speak to life's ongoing dynamism. In Jungian thought, such alignment between the outer expression and inner archetypal truth creates a sense of wholeness, which in itself is one of the most compelling and magnetic forms of beauty a person can embody. How warm undertones create an immediate sense of radiance can be understood not only through the lens of aesthetics, but also through the psychological and symbolic effects color has on the human psyche. In the physical sense, warm undertones, in clothing, shades infused with hints of yellow, gold, peach, or red, interact with the skin in a way that reflects light more harmoniously, often mimicking the subtle glow that comes from healthy circulation. This soft warmth counteracts dullness or shadows that can become more noticeable with age, instantly lifting the complexion and creating a more vibrant appearance. For women over 45, this is especially significant because the skin's natural undertone and luminosity may shift over time due to changes in collagen, circulation, and pigmentation. Wearing colors with warm undertones can act almost like an external source of light, creating a visual effect similar to the flattering glow of golden hour sunlight. From a Jungian perspective, the effect goes deeper than surface-level enhancement. Warm colors have archetypal connections to life, energy, and vitality. Gold and amber tones, for instance, are linked to the archetype of the sun, the eternal source of light, growth, and renewal. These hues unconsciously signal warmth, life force, and abundance to both the wearer and the observer. When a woman wears a shade that carries these symbolic associations, she is not just changing her appearance. She is activating a field of meaning that influences her own sense of self and the way others respond to her. In this sense, the color becomes a psychological tool, not merely an aesthetic choice. Warm undertones also evoke the archetype of the hearth, the symbolic center of warmth, nourishment, and security. Colors like terracotta, warm coral, and honey beige carry a sense of intimacy and comfort, which can make the wearer seem more approachable and emotionally open. This emotional warmth translates into perceived physical radiance because the observer's unconscious mind links such colors with positive interpersonal experiences. The glow, therefore, is not only visual but relational. People tend to respond more warmly to someone dressed in shades that evoke these archetypes, and this response can boost the wearer's confidence, enhancing her own feeling of vitality. Is also a physiological reason why warm undertones can make the skin appear healthier. The human eye perceives warm colors as advancing, meaning they visually come forward in space. When placed near the face, these advancing tones can soften lines, diminish the prominence of shadows, and draw attention to the eyes and smile. This effect mirrors the body's natural flush when blood flow is increased, such as during moments of joy, excitement, or attraction. Even when this physiological flush is absent, warm undertones create a convincing illusion of it, sending unconscious signals of energy and well-being. In the symbolic language of color psychology, warm undertones are linked to the element of fire, which in many cultures represents transformation, passion, and vitality. For a woman over 45, this archetypal resonance can carry an empowering message. Life is not cooling or fading but burning steadily, radiating warmth and strength. Choosing colors that align with this symbolism can serve as a daily affirmation of resilience and inner vitality, counteracting societal narratives that equate aging with decline. The effectiveness of warm undertones also lies in their ability to harmonize with a wide range of natural complexions. Even cooler skin tones can benefit from strategically chosen warm-infused shades, such as rose gold or peachy pink, which bridge the gap between warmth and coolness. This adaptability allows women to integrate these tones into their wardrobes, without feeling as though they are wearing something artificial or disconnected from their personal style. In Jungian terms, this harmony between the external color and the internal sense of self reflects the process of individuation, the alignment of outer expression with inner truth. Warm undertones have a unique capacity to work both in subtle and bold ways. A soft buttercream blouse might create a gentle, diffused glow that enhances the skin without drawing too much attention to the color itself, while a bold golden yellow dress can radiate confidence and draw the eye immediately. Both effects rely on the same principle, the way warm wavelengths of light interact with the skin and the psyche, evoking associations with sunlight, harvest, and life-giving warmth. The choice between subtlety and boldness can depend on the archetype a woman wishes to project in a given moment. Whether it's the nurturing warmth of the caregiver or the radiant strength of the queen, the emotional impact of wearing warm undertones should not be underestimated. When a woman feels that her appearance communicates vitality, she tends to carry herself with greater assurance, make more eye contact, and engage more openly with others. This creates a feedback loop, in which her confidence amplifies the positive impressions others have of her, which in turn reinforces her self-perception. Warm colors facilitate this loop by aligning the outer visual message with the inner desire to be seen as vibrant and full of life. There is also an intimate connection between warm undertones and memory. Many people associate warm colors with cherished experiences: the golden light of a sunset, the glow of a fire on a cold night, the comforting hue of a favorite autumn sweater. Wearing these colors can evoke those emotional memories, subtly influencing mood and presence. This personal dimension of color deepens its psychological impact, as it taps into the individual unconscious alongside the collective meanings. From a practical perspective, incorporating warm undertones can be done through clothing, accessories, makeup, or even hair color. A scarf in a golden apricot shade can brighten the face just as effectively as a full outfit in the same tone, and a coral lipstick can serve as a quick way to infuse warmth into the overall look. The key is placing the warmth near the face, where it interacts most directly with skin tone and expression. This placement is not only aesthetic but also symbolic, the face being the primary site of interpersonal connection. It becomes the ideal canvas for projecting the archetypal energies of warmth and vitality. Ultimately, warm undertones function as a bridge between the physical and the psychological, between how light interacts with the body and how symbols interact with the mind. They have the power to shift perception instantly, creating the impression of health, approachability, and resilience. For women over 45, they offer a way to harness the timeless archetypes of the sun, the hearth, and the fire, channeling their energies into both appearance and presence in a way that affirms life's enduring radiance. The role of contrast in refreshing and energizing facial features is a powerful yet often underestimated element in how color influences perception, both physically and psychologically. Contrast refers to the visual relationship between different colors or values, light and dark, warm and cool, bold and muted, and how these relationships affect the way the eye perceives form, depth, and vibrancy. For women over 45, the strategic use of contrast can create an instant lift in appearance, drawing focus to the eyes, brightening the skin, and giving the overall face a more defined, youthful quality. As skin tone and hair color subtly shift with age, natural contrast levels in the face often decrease, which can cause features to appear softer or less defined. Introducing the right amount of contrast through clothing, accessories, and even makeup can restore visual energy and bring sharper clarity to facial features. From a physical standpoint, contrast works by guiding the viewer's attention. High contrast around the face, such as a bright top paired with a dark jacket or a bold color against a neutral background, creates a frame that naturally pulls the eye upward, emphasizing the face as the focal point. This visual framing effect can help counteract any tendency for the face to blend into its surroundings, ensuring that the person is noticed and remembered. The right degree of contrast also helps outline the contours of the face more distinctly, much like the way lighting in photography is used to create depth and definition. From a Jungian perspective, the effect of contrast carries symbolic weight. Light and dark have been archetypal symbols for millennia, representing dualities such as consciousness and the unconscious, life and death, or the known and the mysterious. When a woman incorporates contrast into her appearance, she is, in a subtle way, embodying the union of opposites, what Jung called the conjunction, the alchemical marriage of two different forces to create something dynamic and whole. This union is visually stimulating to the psyche because it mirrors the inner process of integrating different aspects of the self. Just as integrating shadow and light within one's personality creates psychological vitality, integrating contrast in visual presentation creates a sense of energy and balance in appearance. The refreshing effect of contrast is also tied to how it interacts with skin tone. A woman with lighter skin might find that darker, richer colors near the face add definition, while those with deeper skin tones might find that lighter or more luminous colors create a striking highlight effect. In both cases, the key is creating enough difference between the color and the skin so that the face stands out clearly. Without sufficient contrast, clothing and skin tone can merge visually, leading to a washed-out or tired appearance. The right contrast reintroduces clarity and crispness, which the human eye instinctively associates with health, vitality, and attentiveness. Color contrast can also be created through combinations of warm and cool tones. A warm coral scarf paired with a cool navy jacket, for example, can energize the entire look by creating a lively interplay between colors. This kind of contrast works because the eye is naturally drawn to areas where different color temperatures meet. Psychologically, this interplay can signal dynamism and adaptability, qualities that are unconsciously associated with youthfulness and vitality. It communicates that the wearer is not static but multifaceted, blending different energies in a harmonious way. Patterns and prints offer another way to harness contrast effectively. Geometric designs, florals, or even abstract patterns that combine light and dark elements can act as visual energizers. For women over 45, these patterns can serve to break up large areas of color, adding movement and complexity to the look. This visual stimulation not only refreshes the appearance but also projects a sense of playfulness and openness, counteracting any cultural tendency to associate maturity with muted simplicity. In makeup, contrast plays a central role in defining and lifting the face. Subtle eyeliner to frame the eyes, lip color that stands out against the skin, or a touch of blush to bring warmth to the cheeks all operate on the principle of contrast. These touches can make features pop without looking harsh, much like adding just the right amount of seasoning to a dish enhances its flavor. The key is balance. Too little contrast and the features may fade into the background. Too much and the contrast can overwhelm, creating a harsh or artificial appearance. The psychological effect of wearing contrast-rich outfits extends beyond how others perceive the wearer. It also influences self-perception. When a woman looks in the mirror and sees her features clearly defined and her presence visually energized, it can boost her confidence and influence the way she carries herself. This self-assuredness is often picked up by others, creating a feedback loop where the outward vibrancy is reinforced by internal confidence, and vice versa. In Jungian terms, this can be understood as the persona, the outward presentation of the self, working in harmony with the ego to support a positive self-image. Contrast also has the unique ability to adapt to different moods and messages. Low to medium contrast, such as pairing a soft cream top with taupe trousers, can project serenity and approachability, while higher contrast, such as black with ivory or cobalt blue with white, can project authority, confidence, and boldness. This adaptability makes contrast a versatile tool for shaping not just how one looks, but how one feels and is perceived in various situations. On a symbolic level, introducing contrast into personal style can be seen as an affirmation of complexity, a refusal to be defined by a single tone or mood. It mirrors the psychological reality that we are all made of multiple, sometimes opposing, parts that together create wholeness. For women over 45, who may be integrating different life roles, experiences, and evolving identities, this symbolism can be both empowering and aesthetically energizing. By embracing contrast, they can embody the richness of a life that is both grounded and dynamic, both wise and vibrant. In essence, the role of contrast in refreshing and energizing facial features lies in its ability to restore definition, create visual focus, and project a balanced interplay of energies that the human eye and psyche find inherently engaging. It is not merely a design principle but a symbolic and psychological tool that, when used consciously, can transform the way a woman's presence is felt and remembered. Soft, harmonious palettes that convey elegance and timelessness have a unique way of enhancing a woman's presence without overwhelming her natural features, and they work on multiple levels: physical, psychological, and symbolic. These palettes often include muted or blended tones such as dusty rose, soft sage, dove gray, champagne, powder blue, and warm taupe. Unlike stark or high-contrast colors that demand attention, these hues create a gentle visual flow that complements rather than competes with the wearer's complexion. For women over 45, soft harmonious colors can provide a subtle lift, smoothing the transitions between skin tone, hair color, and clothing in a way that brings out a refined and cohesive appearance. This creates the impression of calm sophistication, and, importantly, a form of beauty that feels enduring rather than tied to fleeting trends. On a visual level, these colors interact with light in a diffused way, avoiding the harsh shadows or exaggerated highlights that can come with more extreme hues. Because they blend seamlessly into the surrounding tones, they can soften the appearance of fine lines or texture in the skin, offering a naturally flattering effect. This quality is often described as face-friendly because the eye is not distracted by the clothing but is instead drawn to the face, allowing expressions and features to become the focal point. The result is a kind of visual harmony that communicates poise and balance. From a Jungian perspective, harmonious palettes carry archetypal associations with unity, integration, and wholeness. Colors that blend smoothly without jarring transitions mirror the psychological state of integration, a central theme in Jung's concept of individuation, where the different aspects of the self are brought into alignment. When a woman wears such a palette, she is symbolically embodying balance and inner coherence. The effect is subtle but powerful. Observers may not consciously register why she appears so composed, but the visual message of harmony resonates on an unconscious level, evoking a sense of trust, stability, and grace. Soft palettes also evoke certain archetypes that are deeply rooted in cultural imagery. For example, the muted pastels and warm neutrals often align with the archetype of the nurturer, signaling warmth, approachability, and gentle authority. These tones can also connect to the archetype of the wise woman, suggesting maturity and depth without rigidity. By wearing colors that carry these archetypal messages, a woman can project an aura of quiet strength and refined beauty that feels authentic to her stage of life. One of the strengths of harmonious palettes is their versatility. They can be adapted for both casual and formal settings, and they layer easily without creating visual clutter. For instance, a soft cream blouse paired with a dusty lavender scarf and muted olive trousers creates depth through tonal variation without the sharpness of high contrast. This tonal layering mirrors natural landscapes. Think of the way colors fade into each other at sunset or in a misty forest. And these natural associations further enhance the feeling of calm and timelessness. The human psyche often responds positively to these nature-like transitions, as they evoke safety, continuity, and enduring beauty. Harmonious colors also have an emotional impact on the wearer. Wearing softer tones can induce a feeling of calmness and self-assurance, especially in social situations where the goal is to connect rather than to dominate the visual field. This emotional state often translates into body language, relaxed posture, steady eye contact, and measured gestures, which in turn influences how others perceive and respond to her. The psychological loop between how she feels in the colors and how she is received by others reinforces the effectiveness of this palette in creating a dignified, confident presence. These palettes can be especially effective for women whose natural contrast levels have softened with age, as they work in harmony with these changes rather than against them, instead of trying to recreate the high contrast look that might have suited her in younger years. A woman can embrace the subtler interplay of tones that complement her current coloring. This alignment between her physical appearance and her color choices creates authenticity, which in Jungian thought is a cornerstone of individuation and personal wholeness. The elegance of a harmonious palette also comes from its understated quality. There is a quiet confidence in choosing not to shout visually, but instead to invite closer attention. This aligns with the archetype of the queen in her mature form, a figure who commands respect not through display or excess, but through presence, self-possession, and discernment. In this way, the colors themselves become a symbolic expression of a deeper internal authority that does not require external validation. On a practical level, building a wardrobe around harmonious tones also simplifies decision-making and enhances versatility. Because these colors blend so well, they can be mixed and matched easily, creating countless combinations without the risk of visual dissonance. This practicality carries its own psychological benefits, less decision fatigue, and more confidence that each outfit will support a consistent, refined image. In Jungian terms, this could be seen as the conscious shaping of the persona in a way that faithfully serves the self, avoiding the fragmentation that comes from a chaotic or inconsistent outer presentation. Soft, harmonious palettes can also be enhanced with texture to create visual interest without disrupting the overall cohesion. Fabrics like silk, cashmere, linen, and fine wool can introduce depth and richness that reflect light differently, adding layers of subtle complexity. This interplay of tone and texture mimics the layered nature of personality, another unconscious reason why such palettes feel complete and satisfying to the observer. In social contexts, these colors can be especially effective for creating rapport. People tend to respond more positively to those whose appearance does not overwhelm or create visual tension. Harmonious palettes, by their nature, encourage ease in communication, as they frame the wearer in a way that feels approachable and balanced. This effect is particularly useful in situations where connection and influence rely on subtlety and trust rather than forcefulness. The timelessness of these palettes lies in their resistance to trend cycles, because they are rooted in natural, balanced color relationships rather than seasonal extremes. They do not easily become dated. This stability mirrors the deeper psychological truth that certain qualities, grace, composure, integrity, are enduring forms of beauty that transcend age. Wearing colors that reflect this constancy can be a form of self-affirmation, reinforcing the idea that one's value and attractiveness are not bound to youth alone but are expressions of a fully integrated self. Ultimately, soft, harmonious palettes operate as both aesthetic and symbolic tools. They offer physical benefits by flattering the complexion and softening features, emotional benefits by fostering a sense of calm confidence, and psychological benefits by projecting archetypes of unity, wisdom, and grace. By choosing colors that reflect balance and integration, a woman aligns her outer appearance with inner qualities that are deeply respected and universally resonant. Bold accent colors that project strength without harshness have a transformative effect on appearance, presence, and self-perception, particularly for women over 45. These colors strike a delicate balance. They are vivid enough to draw the eye, energize the complexion, and communicate vitality, yet they are chosen and placed in a way that enhances rather than overpowers. Bold accent colors can include jewel tones like emerald green, sapphire blue, and amethyst purple, as well as rich variations of red, teal, or magenta. Unlike loud or overly saturated neon shades, which can feel abrasive or overwhelming, these bold yet refined hues carry depth and complexity, allowing them to project confidence and charisma while remaining harmonious with mature features and personal style. From a visual perspective, bold accent colors work by creating a focal point that directs attention to specific areas, often near the face, where they can frame features and enliven skin tone. When paired with more neutral or subdued base colors, these accents stand out even more, drawing the eye without dominating the overall look. This contrast between the bold and the understated allows the wearer to make a statement without needing to rely on excessive patterns, embellishments, or accessories. A sapphire scarf against a charcoal sweater or an emerald blouse paired with soft beige trousers can instantly shift the impression from understated to commanding. From a Jungian perspective, bold colors are linked to archetypes that carry strong, affirmative energy. Emerald green can evoke the archetype of the healer, suggesting growth, renewal, and life force. Sapphire blue resonates with the archetype of the sage, symbolizing wisdom, clarity, and authority. Amethyst purple can be connected to the archetype of the visionary or the mystic, carrying connotations of depth, intuition, and insight. When a woman chooses a bold accent color, she is not only making a visual choice, but also tapping into these archetypal energies, subtly communicating these qualities to herself and to others. This symbolic alignment can strengthen her sense of identity, making her feel more empowered and in harmony with the image she projects. The psychological power of bold accent colors lies in their ability to alter mood and energy. Wearing a rich, commanding hue can create a sense of uplift, much like the emotional charge one might feel when standing before a striking piece of art. For a woman over 45, who may be navigating life transitions or redefining her personal and professional roles, the choice to wear bold colors can be an intentional act of self. It says, in effect, I am present, I am visible, and I am unafraid to take up space. This inner conviction often translates into changes in posture, tone of voice, and overall demeanor, reinforcing the impression of vitality and presence. Bold accent colors also function well in creating a signature look. By consistently incorporating certain bold hues into her wardrobe, a woman can develop a recognizable style that feels authentic and distinctive. This can be especially powerful in environments where memorability and personal branding matter, such as in leadership roles, public speaking, or social occasions. The human mind naturally remembers vivid details, and a bold accent color, used strategically, can become a visual anchor for how others recall her. However, the key to using bold accents effectively is in the placement and proportion. Too much of a bold color can overwhelm, drawing attention away from the person and toward the color itself. When used in measured doses as a blouse, scarf, statement, necklace, belt, or even lipstick, the effect is one of intentional emphasis. This mirrors Jung's principle of balance between opposing forces. The boldness of the color is tempered by restraint in how it is applied, resulting in harmony between visibility and subtlety. There is also a relational aspect to bold accent colors. In social interactions, these colors can signal openness, creativity, and approachability, depending on the hue. For example, a bold coral accent might convey warmth and friendliness, while a deep teal can suggest sophistication and composure. People often respond to these colors with increased engagement, as the vibrancy naturally draws them in. This response can create a positive feedback loop, where the attention and connection a woman receives reinforces her confidence in wearing these colors. Symbolically, bold accents can serve as a counterpoint to cultural narratives that encourage women to become less visible with age. In some societies, mature women are subtly guided toward muted tones and understated appearances, which can unintentionally reinforce feelings of invisibility. Choosing bold accent colors becomes a form of gentle rebellion against this invisibility, a visual assertion that life remains dynamic and expressive. The archetypal undertones of bold colors amplify this message, connecting the outer image with an inner narrative of ongoing growth and vitality. In practical terms, integrating bold accent colors can be done gradually. A woman who typically wears neutrals might start by adding a bold-colored accessory to her most flattering outfit, allowing herself to acclimate to the visual and psychological impact. Over time, she might introduce bold-colored tops, outerwear, or statement pieces into her regular rotation. This progressive approach aligns with Jungian individuation, the gradual integration of new elements into the self-concept in a way that feels authentic and sustainable. The interplay between bold accent colors and other wardrobe elements can also be used to create specific effects. Pairing a bold hue with complementary colors can create vibrancy and balance, while pairing it with analogous colors, those next to it on the color wheel, can create a harmonious, more blended appearance. Understanding these relationships allows for more intentional styling, ensuring the bold color enhances rather than clashes with the overall look. The timelessness of certain bold colors is another reason they work well for women over 45. Jewel tones, in particular, rarely go out of style because they are rooted in natural elements, gemstones, landscapes, and historical textiles that carry enduring associations. Wearing these colors links the present moment to a larger historical and cultural continuum, lending the wearer a sense of groundedness alongside the vibrancy. This quality of being both current and timeless makes bold accent colors especially effective for projecting a confident, ageless presence. Ultimately, bold accent colors that project strength without harshness are about more than appearance. They are about intentional self-expression. They allow a woman to step into archetypal energies that resonate with her values and aspirations, to draw positive attention in a way that feels balanced and true to her personality, and to visually communicate the vitality that remains fully alive within her at every stage of life. The connection between color choice and emotional resonance is rooted in the way the human psyche responds to visual stimuli on both a conscious and unconscious level. Colors are not just wavelengths of light, they are psychological triggers that evoke feelings, memories, and associations. This response is partly physiological, as certain colors can stimulate or calm the nervous system, and partly symbolic, as colors carry cultural, personal, and archetypal meanings. For women over 45, this connection becomes even more significant because color choices can align with or shift their emotional state, influencing how they present themselves and how they experience the world around them. On a personal level, color can serve as an external expression of an internal mood. A woman feeling confident and energized might naturally gravitate toward vibrant reds or sunny yellows, while on days when she seeks calm and reflection, she may choose soft blues or muted greens. This is not merely a matter of preference. It is a form of self-regulation where color becomes a tool for amplifying, balancing, or transforming an emotional state. In this way, color choice operates much like music. Certain notes or melodies can uplift or soothe, and certain hues can do the same for the psyche. From a Jungian perspective, colors tap into archetypal layers of meaning that can evoke deep emotional resonance regardless of individual taste. For example, blue often carries the archetypal associations of the Skyfather or the Wise Sage, symbolizing clarity, peace, and stability. Wearing blue can evoke a sense of calmness and order, not only in the wearer but also in those who perceive. Her red, tied to the archetype of the warrior or the lover, stimulates feelings of passion, courage, and aliveness. These archetypal resonances operate below the level of conscious thought, which is why color can so powerfully shift mood and perception without the need for verbal explanation. The emotional impact of color is also shaped by personal history. A shade of lilac might remind one woman of a joyful time in her youth, carrying with it feelings of nostalgia and comfort, while for another, it might recall a period of loss. These personal associations layer onto the archetypal meanings, making color choice a deeply individual process. For women in midlife and beyond who have accumulated a wide range of experiences, certain colors can act almost like talismans, visual cues that anchor them to empowering memories or phases of life they wish to embody. Colors can also be chosen intentionally to create emotional resonance in others. In professional or social settings, a woman might select a color that communicates the emotional tone she wishes to set. For example, a deep green at a networking event can convey trustworthiness and balance, while a rich magenta might signal creativity and approachability. These choices can subtly influence the emotional climate of an interaction, shaping how others respond and engage. In Jungian terms, this is an example of consciously shaping the persona, the outward mask or presentation, to serve a specific relational purpose while remaining authentic to the self. The connection between color and emotion is also tied to seasonal and environmental influences. In colder months, warm tones such as rust, burgundy, or golden yellow can counteract the psychological dullness that can accompany low light and gray skies, bringing warmth and vibrancy into both appearance and mood. In warmer months, cooler tones like aqua, lavender, or soft white can feel refreshing, mirroring the desire for lightness and openness. This alignment between external environment and color choice creates a sense of harmony that can be felt both internally and by those who interact with the wearer. Physiologically, certain colors have measurable effects on the body's state. Warm hues can increase heart rate and stimulate energy, while cool hues can slow heart rate and promote relaxation. This means that by choosing colors consciously, a woman can influence her physical state in ways that support her emotional needs. For example, wearing calming blues during a stressful day can help maintain composure, while energizing reds or corals can provide a boost before an important presentation or social event. This integration of physical and psychological effects makes color an accessible yet powerful tool for emotional self-management. In relationships, color can become a shared emotional language. Partners, friends, or colleagues may come to associate a woman with certain colors that consistently reflect her personality or presence. Over time, these associations deepen the emotional resonance of those colors, reinforcing her identity and the feelings connected to it. In this sense, color becomes not just a visual choice, but a relational symbol that carries meaning across multiple contexts. There is also a meditative aspect to color choice. The process of selecting an outfit or accessory based on how a color feels in the moment can encourage mindfulness, drawing attention to the present emotional state and promptings. This is particularly valuable for women balancing multiple roles and responsibilities, as it provides a small but meaningful opportunity for self-reflection and intentional self-care. The cultural dimension of emotional resonance should also be acknowledged. Different cultures assign varying meanings to colors, and a woman's awareness of these meanings can shape how her choices are received in different settings. For instance, white may symbolize purity and new beginnings in some cultures, while in others it is associated with mourning. By understanding these layers, she can use color to bridge cultural contexts or to align with the symbolic values of a particular group or occasion. In sum, the link between color choice and emotional resonance operates on a complex interplay of personal history, archetypal symbolism, cultural meaning, and physiological response. For women over 45, the deliberate selection of colors becomes a way to navigate both inner and outer worlds, using visual expression as a tool for emotional alignment, self-affirmation, and relational impact. The colors she chooses are not only aesthetic decisions but also expressions of her evolving identity, carrying with them the power to influence mood, memory, and connection in subtle yet profound ways. Integrating personal style with colors that enhance natural glow is both an art and a psychological process, blending self-expression with an understanding of how certain hues interact with one's individual features. Personal style reflects not only aesthetic preference but also identity, values, and the image one wishes to present to the world. For women over 45, integrating colors that enhance natural radiance into a personal style is not about abandoning what has always felt authentic, but about refining and evolving it so that it continues to work in harmony with changing skin tone, hair color, and overall presence. This integration is most effective when approached with awareness of both the physical impact of color and the symbolic resonance it carries. Physically, certain colors can make the skin appear brighter, the eyes clearer, and the overall complexion more vibrant. These are often colors that harmonize with the natural undertones in the skin, whether warm, cool, or neutral, and that work with, rather than against, natural contrast levels. Over time, as hair may lighten or deepen and skin undertones shift subtly, the palette that once felt perfect may need small adjustments. This does not mean reinventing personal style completely. Rather, it means fine-tuning the color choices within that style so that they continue to highlight the features in the most flattering way. For example, a woman who has always favored jewel tones might find that slightly softer or warmer variations of those colors now bring out her glow more effectively, allowing her to keep the essence of her style while adapting to natural changes. From a Jungian perspective, personal style is part of the persona, the outward expression of the self, that mediates between the inner world and the outer world. When personal style aligns with colors that enhance natural glow, there is harmony between inner identity and outer appearance, creating a sense of authenticity that others can intuitively perceive. This alignment is not about conforming to external expectations but about ensuring that what is expressed visually resonates with the truth of who one is. The result is a presence that feels both genuine and magnetic, where the colors worn are not a mask but an extension of the self. Integrating glow-enhancing colors into personal style also requires an understanding of proportion and placement. Even if a woman's signature style includes bold prints, dark neutrals, or unconventional combinations, adding glow-enhancing colors near the face, in tops, scarves, jewelry, or makeup, ensures that the visual focal point remains her expression and features. This strategic placement allows the rest of the outfit to maintain its stylistic integrity while still delivering the benefits of color harmony. The process of integration can also be symbolic, serving as a metaphor for embracing change while staying rooted in one's core identity. For many women, midlife is a period of redefinition, where old roles evolve and new priorities emerge. Updating color choices within a familiar style can reflect this evolution, signaling growth, adaptability, and just as Jung's individuation process involves integrating new aspects of the psyche while remaining whole. Evolving personal style with glow-enhancing colors reflects a similar synthesis on the visual and symbolic level. This integration also has an emotional dimension, wherein colors that enhance natural glow can boost mood and confidence, creating a positive feedback loop between how one feels and how one is perceived. When a woman sees herself in colors that make her look luminous and alive, she is likely to stand taller, engage more fully, and express herself more openly. This shift in demeanor often draws others in, reinforcing the connection between visual presentation and interpersonal impact. Over time, these repeated experiences can strengthen image, making the chosen colors feel not just flattering but empowering. Personal style also carries a narrative quality. It tells a story about who a person is and what she values. By weaving glow-enhancing colors into that narrative, a woman can communicate vitality, resilience, and authenticity without needing to say a word. A wardrobe dominated by deep, earthy tones might tell a story of groundedness and stability, while the addition of a luminous coral scarf or a clear aqua blouse can introduce chapters about energy and openness. These additions do not disrupt the overall story, they enrich it, adding depth and complexity in the same way that life experiences add dimension to identity. Another benefit of integrating glow-enhancing colors into personal style is versatility. These colors tend to work well across different contexts, professional, social, and casual, making them practical investments. A single well-chosen piece in a glow-enhancing shade can be styled in multiple ways, allowing it to serve as both a statement and a supporting element in an outfit. This adaptability mirrors the psychological flexibility that becomes increasingly valuable in midlife and beyond. reflecting the ability to meet diverse demands without losing a sense of self, texture, and fabric. Choice can further enhance the effect of these colors within a personal style. A luminous shade in a matte fabric will have a different visual impact than the same shade in a silk or satin, which reflects light more actively. Integrating glow-enhancing colors in fabrics that work with the wearer's style preferences, whether structured, flowing, minimal, or ornate, ensures that the color feels like a natural part of the whole rather than an afterthought. It is also worth noting that personal style is not static. It evolves as life circumstances, environments, and personal priorities shift. By regularly reassessing which colors bring out the best in one's natural features, a woman can keep her style fresh and relevant without feeling pressured to chase trends. This ongoing refinement is part of the deeper work of aligning outer expression with inner truth, allowing style to remain a living reflection of the self rather than a fixed template. Ultimately, integrating personal style with colors that enhance natural glow is about more than looking good. It is about embodying a visual harmony that reflects confidence, vitality, and authenticity. It is a way of affirming, through choice and presence, that personal expression and natural beauty can evolve together, each enhancing the other in a way that feels both timeless and deeply personal.